Hello, YouTube. Welcome to my channel, Marriage, Politics, and Sports. Today, we're on the swivel at the sports bar, and this is Dwayne Wade's Hall of Fame induction speech for the NBA. And he's got inducted with Pau Gasol, Dirk Nowitzki, and Tony Parker. The four of them would have been a formidable team, probably be championship level with the right fifth piece. But anyway, this subtext to this is intersected with family and relationships and how he respects his father's role in where he's at today. You know, his father and mother were divorced when he was very young, and his mother had the wherewithal to understand that she had no business trying to raise a man, a boy into a man. So he's going to go talk a little bit about his father's impact early on in his basketball career. And then I'm going to come back and we're going to talk a little bit about, and he's going to reveal some more after I show this first clip. And then we'll talk a little bit more. So let me go ahead and share for a second. Okay.
Here's my final love letter. The first memory I have of holding a basketball was when I was 5 years old, and it wasn't love at first sight. But one thing I knew for sure was that something inside of me would come alive every time I had that ball in my hands. I've got to credit my dad for my love of the game. He's what you would call an everyday hooper. If that was a court in Chicago, chances are my pops took my brothers and me so we could play against grown-ass men to gain their respect. If there was a basket and a run there, we were pulling up to the lakefront, Foster Park, Blue Island Rec Center, and any local gyms and parks anywhere in Chicago. The best thing about that time was what the game taught me. I had a chance to see the way basketball connected people, just by hanging out with my dad, my uncles, and his friends. My love of competition came from seeing them go at it. It wasn't about anything other than their pride and the love of the game. If you've been around basketball long enough, you know how raw it gets. They had loud arguments about bad calls. You couldn't even think about calling a foul if there wasn't some blood involved. You had to play through it all. The trash talking in those games, it probably wasn't appropriate for kids to be around. But that's the game I grew up on. That's the game that raised me. After all those games, when battles really, watching them sit down, grab a cold beer, laugh and joke about any and everything, about work, family, and definitely who got buckets dropped on their head that day. You know, as a kid, all you need is an opening. What I lived for back then was any intermission in a game. It could be a long timeout, a long argument, water break, somebody getting pissed and throwing the ball over the fence, a break between games. If there was a chance for me to run on the court and grab that ball and imitate my dad, I took it. Thing is, though, at 5, the ball was always too heavy to get to the rim, or too big in my hands. But little did I know that this object was going to be the vessel that changed my life and my family's.
Let me stop it right there. You know, he didn't mince any words in praising what his father's impact really was, you know, and
Factor
I
is
think that's
by far the best.
a great thing. So let me stop sharing this and go back to Go back for a second. Sharing my screen. Before we key up the next piece. All right. Yeah, so listen, that first piece was just his introduction to basketball, how much he loved the game, how much his father influenced it, and just so much how he wanted to emulate his father on the court. That's something special. Now, this last little piece I'm gonna show, I'm gonna let it play out, but he's gonna start introducing people who were instrumental in his life. And one of the things is he gets to his mother and he sends a message to all women out there, whether he did it consciously or subconsciously. He sends a message to all women that no matter what your relationship is with your estranged husband or boyfriend or anything else, if that man is not a criminal, he's not a drug dealer, he's not somebody, the only reason why you're not together is because he chose somebody else. That is no reason to keep him away from his sons. Because no way, shape, form, or fashion can a woman raise a boy to be a man. She just can't. It's not possible. And one of the other things is that this kind of goes for when your daughters need a man in their life. Same thing. But we're talking about Dwayne Wayne, he's a man. And we know that men need to have other men at certain ages so they can understand how it is to live as a man and be more methodical in life and not emotional. And we all have emotions, but I'm talking about without leading with those. To logic through issues and problems and solve them. Things the way men do it when you're dealing with other men who are your peers and men you admire. You need men to help you get through that. So Dwayne says something to his mother in all love and how much he loves her, but he makes a statement to her that should resonate with all women. So we'll get to it. I'm going to let him go through some of his family members, then he'll get to his mother, and then we're going to end up with his tribute to his father. Okay? So let's share this again. We're going to share this screen. It might go through this commercial, which is a pain in the ass.
Best food subscription service I have ever tried. And I know it.
T. Union, Tregill Wade Johnson, Davion Morris, Kavia James, Zaya Wade, and Zaire Wade. Thank you all for being there for me and for loving me in the most perfect way possible. I appreciate you guys and I love y'all. Thank you. Y'all can sit down now. And my wife, Gab, would you please stand? Thank you for making our house a home. Thank you for making sure our kids feel seen, heard, and protected when I'm not around. Thank you for learning every ref's name in the NBA. And for screaming at them so I didn't have to. Saved a lot of fine money. I know I'm traveling for work this year during our anniversary. So I want to say thank you for being on this journey for me, with me, these past 15 years. Thank you for learning to love my imperfections just as much as we've enjoyed and loved the moments of perfection. I love you. Mom, would you please stand? Your strength to overcome your own personal adversity is something I've always admired about you. To have a mother who loved me enough to know when it was time to allow my dad to step in and lead the way is one of the most unselfish acts I've ever witnessed. Thank you for seeing me and not making my life about you. It allowed me to blossom in an environment that kept me focused and dreaming. Thank you for showing me that our lives don't always go as planned, but with the right amount of love and support, our lives do go exactly as planned. I love you.
Aaron loves Optimum's fiber internet, saying, excellent speed and quality. So we decided to review him back.
Pops,
Fair use, fair use.
would you
Gotta
please
suffer
stand?
through those commercials.
I started this off thanking you, and I want to end it the same way. I owe you a debt of gratitude that I'll never be able to repay. When I would cry and say I can't, you made me go harder. You pushed me to limits that I didn't know were inside of me. The hard work I put in was because I didn't want to let you down. Those countless hours in the backyard, when we would compete against each other like strangers, it built me to last. Those days that turned into late nights of me working on my left hand so it was just as good as my right, it made me an unstoppable force. That time you got kicked out of the game as my coach and snuck back in the side door and coached me from the stands just to get kicked out again, it showed me that there was no limitations on how you would show up for me. It's the exact same way I try to show up for my kids. So even though I hated being called Little Dwayne, I admired you as a kid. I admire you now. We had the same exact dream, and we carry the same exact name, Dwayne Tyrone Wade. To know we hustled all the way to the Basketball Hall of Fame is God's will. So Pops, I know your knees are a little sore, but will you join me on stage as we take our rightful step into basketball heaven? This one right here, this one is for my father. I love you, and I'm thankful for you.
I love you too, man.
We in the Hall of Fame, dog.
Let me stop it right there. Ain't that something? Ain't that a tribute that a man should have, a boy should have to his father? It's a sight to behold. You know, I appreciate seeing this piece, and every man should be able to say they love their father to their face. I love mine, uh, but you know, this is I thought this was a special show. I thought this was his induction speech was special. I think it'll resonate with a lot of people. It's going to resonate with a lot of black men, and I think we need to see more black men being able to honor the fathers that have such an impact in their lives. This is great, and this is good to see. And I'm glad I'm making a little video of it. So, without further, stuff from me. This is our pain, marriage, politics, and sports. Over and out. Oh, by the way, just before I click off, I'm going to put the full induction speech in the description.